In this video, we're going to look at how to use the interval feature on your Garmin watch. This will vary very slightly by model, but we're going to go through some of the main themes. First, we're going to hit the top button here and start and go into our run setting. So here we're going to select run using the top right button. And then when this screen pops up, we're going to hit the up button and take us into here. Now I've got it set up so I have intervals as one of my options here. However, you may need to scroll down until you see training as your next option. Hit the select button and head into that there. From here you can see workouts, which is what you've seen from Garmin Connect, or as we're going to use, the interval section here. I've got this option set up here, so I'm using currently 20 rounds of 2 minutes to 2 minutes 30, but we're going to head down here and set into edit. So we'll set the interval time. This is basically how long you're going to run in. If you're using this with technique, this will be focusing on your technique for this time. We can edit this here. So duration, and we can do by type as well. So we can do time, you can leave it open where you do a lap button press, you can do distance. Any of these options is viable. However, time is generally quite a good way to do it. So we're going to head back because we've already got that option set up. Scroll back up, and here we can adjust our time. So generally speaking, we're going to start with 1 minute of this. So I'll set that up as so, and then we'll come hit the button and head back out. Down to our rest, and we're generally going to start with about 3 minutes. So again, the same things apply. Going to take this up to 3 minutes here. Oops, hit the select button, and then we're done. So what we go, come back out of that, and we've now got the option to set as many repeats as you want. Now it doesn't really matter how many repeats you set. I've set 20 here just so I don't have to worry about setting up again at any stage. I can just leave this running. This will cover me for pretty much any distance I would ever use for technique work. However, you can adjust it if you wish to. So say you're doing a slightly longer run, but you only want to work, say 10 rounds of it, then you can just keep it on this one setting, set it down to 10, and it'll run there. However, I'm going to leave this as is for the moment. Now, warm up and cool down, you've got the options to use these as well if you wish to. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about the cool down, however, the warm up can be a really good option here. If you set this up, again, we can use toggle on or off. What that means is that when you go into your run, you can hit the lap button at the bottom here, and it will then set you into those intervals, but it won't do those intervals until you start that button. We'll head back out of it. When you then set into your run, so you're going to start your run, you'll hit do workout, and it will come with the screen here. So start the timer to begin the workout, scroll down, and you're ready to rock and roll. So you then go through, you can scroll down to your normal data screens, all the normal information you'd have, heart rate zones here, I've got some Garmin data, and then we've got into our main setting here. So we'll hit this and start this run. So starting with running with the warm-up, here the step pace, so this is our kind of warm-up pace obviously, and then the distance we've covered in this time. So once I hit 10 seconds, I'm going to hit my lap button. I'm going to signify the end of that. So that's my warm-up done, and now rep 1 of 20. Going to come up with 1 minute of running, and this is going to be our first part of our work. From here, you can see the countdown timers on. Now you can keep this on here if you wish to, or you can just go through your normal screens. I tend to go through the normal screens or one of my heart rate screens, going using some easy runs, so I'm keeping on heart rate or pace. Again, when you hit the end of that minute, which I'm going to scroll ahead with, then you're going to see the next set come up. So I'm going to hit the lap button, but you'll just leave this running normally. So we're now into our rest. So you finished your first one, you can tell how far you've run. In this case, I think I've done 32 meters. And then we're now into our rest or recovery period, which is going to be 3 minutes in our case here. And again, you can see it's heading through a bit of distance, although I'm standing still, but we're going to cover through this time here. Again, when you finish that, if at any point you want to, you can simply hit the lap button again and again, and it will scroll through. However, you won't really need to use this, just keep running until you end the run of your time. When you finish your run, as normal, end the run, top button, into here, and then save, and that's the run done. Okay, so now we've tracked our run, I'm going to head into this session and show you what you can do as an extra analysis. So you can see on the top row here, we've got intervals at the top, so we're going to head over there, and it's going to then load up some additional information for us. Now you can see the warm-up, run, and rest periods here, so we can track just times or the paces. So you can see, for instance, here, when running with good technique, or the deliberate technique, the pace here is 6:43, and the rest pace was 6:38. Now, what may look like then is that running without a technique focus is actually slightly faster. However, there's additional information you can look at if we then turn our phone, or in this case, my tablet. Okay, now we've got the screen to rotate. We can see some additional information. We've got here again all of the data all in one place, so this is currently set on all rather than run. So if we hit to run, this will then load up all the information. So yes, we have our cumulative time, our pace, and the distance in here. However, we can see some additional information along the bottom. So here we're looking at the average heart rate. So the average heart rate here is 148 beats per minute. Maximum heart rate, other information across here. So the key things to pay attention to, if you're looking at technique using this method and you're looking to essentially gauge the effort you're putting in, how efficient you're being, there are a few key metrics to pay attention to. Average heart rate is absolutely one of those, as is average pace. However, we also want to pay close attention to the ascent and descent so we can make comparisons between our run and our rest periods. What we want to try and do, obviously, if we see that a run pace is slower, what you might find is that there's more uphill than downhill, or relative to the rest period, that's true as well. Average cadence is one of the parts of information. Often we're using technique work to improve our running cadence, or to make ourselves more efficient, or looking at this next number, ground contact time, or improve our ground contact balance, making things more comparable and more even loading between the left and right hand side. We next go into average stride length. Again, this doesn't really matter too much. However, if we're seeing a really exaggerated stride length and a low cadence, then this can be something we pay close attention to. The last two here, vertical oscillation and vertical ratio. Again, the bottom numbers down here, 7.2 and 9.9. Basically, the vertical oscillation is the amount of jump height you have per step, and the average vertical ratio is the ratio of your jump height to your stride length. So these can be quite useful. The average vertical ratio in particular is quite often known as a measure of efficiency. The lower the number, the better. To some degree, the lower number, the better with the vertical oscillation. However, we do need some height, and you'll see this change between your easier running paces and your faster running paces. Not necessarily with technique work, but just generally we'll see that change. So we then go here into our rest paces, and we should hopefully see some changes here. So average pace we saw was actually slightly quicker. Average heart rate around about the same. We're seeing a bit of difference in elevation here as well. So other things like wind direction and wind speed can also play a role here. So if, for instance, we did a bit of an out and back session or with a long loop, and you maybe you're facing more headwind on one way than the other, that can also play a role. So also factor these things in. Ground contact time, very similar, but cadence you can see is 2 steps lower. We're more even on the stride here, but we can see we're less efficient, 7.3 rather than 7.2 over on here, a little bit further across. So there you go. So it isn't always a really obvious thing, and I can help you with analysis of this stuff if you like. This is included in the coaching packages, not in the training plans. However, if we can do a session that you wish to, we can absolutely sit down and run through more of this information over time. You can use all this stuff as well yourself, so that's why I put this video together, so you know what to look for, and you can have a look at some of these bits of information and make some wise choices and decisions within your own training.